Hello and welcome to our web training Maximize Your MyMix System with MyMix Control. My name is Christian Glück and I'm the product manager for MyMix. In this webinar, we're going to show you how MyMix Control can help you to maximize the performance of your MyMix system, reduce changeover times, remotely edit mixes, or locking specific functions. MyMix Control has a web browser-based user interface and a Wi-Fi access point. So it doesn't really matter what type of computer or tablet or even a smartphone you use to edit the system. You can backup and download the complete system settings, you can configure the input expander and MyMixes, and of course you got individual locking menus for each function. A quick system overview here. We have a system with some MyMixes on one switch and two input expanders, and we're just using another switch at this position. Both switches are connected through a gigabit uplink port. The MyMix Control uses the interface, which we call the MyMix plug. This needs to get connected to the network. So whatever port on your switch is empty, that's where you connect it. It has the Wi-Fi access point built in, so with a tablet or smartphone, you can connect directly to our interface plug. If you wish to use a wire connection, you can use a computer and just connect it to the switch. To make the operation with MyMix Control complete, we recommend that the engineer has his own MyMix in place. So this will allow him not only to listen to the individual mixes of the musicians, but also to create mixes on this unit and copy and paste them to other MyMixes in the system. So how does it work? The MyMix Control plug is transferring data between your computer or tablet and the MyMix system. So when you open a web page that basically requests the data from the system, the plug collects the data and displays it on a web page that you see on your web browser. So let's look at an example here. Let's say you hit master mute on one MyMix. So you make the change in the web browser. Depending on the action, you might need to hit apply to actually send the data to the plug. The plug addresses the MyMix devices and transfer the data to them. Once the MyMix receives the new data, it changes its status and it's sending it back the new status to the plug. Which then becomes visible on the web browser. All this data is adding permanently to the running memory of the MyMix plug. A quick overview of what we're gonna cover today. First, we take a look at the MyMix file system, which really helps you to understand how the whole thing works. Then we make the connection to the MyMix Control and talk about the two operator levels, the administrator and the user. Then we will create a project, save and load projects. We also show how to edit a single MyMix, edit the preferences, the channel selection and the mix on a unit. Then we talk about editing the input expander and also when you should use profiles or entire projects. We talk about how to copy a profile to kickstart a musician remotely and also how to copy and paste entire device settings in case of you need to replace a piece of hardware. We also look into the locking to see what's available, what's useful and how to unlock a unit. And finally, we have the Q&A at the end of the session. So let's take a look at the MyMix file system. A project saves all data from all MyMix and input expander devices that are on the network. When you save a project, you not only have the project name and the author, you also have a description field that allows you to explain what this project was all about. Everything inside the project is saved by the devices and their unique MAC addresses. So in this example here, we have 2 input expanders and 8 MyMix devices. If we open the folder of an individual MyMix, we see its log settings, a folder with the profiles, the preferences, and the runtime file. So in this example here, there are 3 profiles in this folder. The profile really is all the basic because it covers the entire settings of the mixer, starting from the input configuration to the effects, the equalizer settings, and also all the selections of the channels. Here are some examples, and what you see is that each and every channel that is selected is identified by its unique MAC address. In this case here, these are channels from one of the 2 input expanders. So now let's take a look how to connect and log in to the MyMix plug. If you use a Wi-Fi connection, the plug will show up as Stream UAP. You open a web browser and you use the IP address 192.168.1.1. For a wired connection, you need the utility Bonjour if you're using a PC. You then open your web browser and you type in mymixplug.local. This will get you straight to the login page of the MyMix plug. So I'm opening my web browser now, which is Firefox, and because I have a wired connection, I type in mymixplug.local and hit enter. As soon as the connection is established, you are on the login page of the MyMix plug. There are 2 types of users, the user and the administrator. In our case, I'm logging in as administrator because I want to show you some of the additional functions. The administrator has the admin button. On this page, you can change the passwords both for the administrator and the user. Make sure that you keep your admin password at a safe place. You also have the labels, which I will explain a little bit later what this is for. You can reset the button, disconnect the Wi-Fi connection, and also update the software on this page. Now let's get back to the home page of the MyMix plug. This is the page where you save and load entire project settings. Let's say we are preparing our MyMix system for a rehearsal of our Team A, so we're just loading one of their projects and putting all the data to all the MyMix devices and input expanders on the network. The MyMix tab opens the MyMix Select page, which gives you an overview about all your MyMix devices that you have on the network. You see them with MAC address, name, label, their current profiles, their online status, and you can edit them from here. Mute and send mix to network are available directly from this page as well. The next tab opens the input expander. In our case, we have one, and if you hit the edit button, you see the input expander with its name, the input status, and all the channel names in their input mode, dual, mono, or stereo, and the gain settings. So let's get back to our MyMix Select page. From here you can edit all individual MyMixes that you have on the network. In our example here, let's edit Pete's unit. There are 2 profiles, and Pete's using currently the profile Sunday as active profile. If we hit edit, we see more details of this profile Sunday. Here you can see the global settings like the input status with its channel names, the selected effect type, in this case a large room, and further down you see all the individual parameters of the 4-band master equalizer. If we hit this channel select page, we will see all the network channels that are currently saved in that profile. Some of these channels are online and selected, some of them are offline. Here we're deleting now some of the offline channels from that profile. We hit apply, that data is transferred and it's cleared from the profile. When we open the mix page, we see all the channels that are currently used for the audio mix of this MyMix device. Now here, the screen is not completely fitting our resolution, and I'm just using the fact that I can adjust the web browser settings and simply modify the font size to get an overview that fits perfectly to my screen. On this page here, you have access to all individual mixing parameters of this unit. So you can change the volume, you can change effects, reverbs, times. Up here you can clear the solos and mutes, you can reset to zero mix, and you can press the master mute button, all remotely through your web browser. So these settings can be modified for each and every MyMix that you have in your system. So now let's go back to the home page and load another project. In this case, we load the settings for Team Paul. So we select it. This is Team Paul from December the 2nd. And as soon as we press the load button, all the settings will get transferred to each and every device identified by the unique MAC address. If we hit the MyMix tab, we see now the same units but with different unit names and different settings. So one unit, Jason's unit, shows is offline. And let's assume he forgot his unit at home, but he's still there and would like to use it in the rehearsal. So what we're gonna do is we open his units and we export all the settings and save them on the MyMix plug. We now go back and take one of our spare units that we have in the system. We open the spare unit, and here we import all the settings from Jason's device. So all that data is saved on the MyMix plug, so you don't need to worry about losing it or carrying it around on a different computer. So now this MyMix has turned to Jason's MyMix. And if we hit the MyMix tab, we see now in our system there are two Jason units. One is this new one, is online and still available in the project data, the old one. In this project, we also have a MyMix called Drums with this current profile, Submix Drums. So on this unit, we use, let's open the mix page to show you, we're just selecting some individual drum channels and creating a stereo mix, which is then to the network, and others can simply pick stereo signal drums rather than having to adjust all the individual channels. Now let's edit our second spare unit. We hit the edit button, and here we have the preferences. And the first thing is we change the name of the device from spare to front of house. Don't forget to hit apply to make that change available for the unit. Now let's say we have a new musician in the team and we want to kickstart him by providing him a starting mix. So the first thing is we create a profile on our device and let's call it mix. So we create that profile. We hit the edit button. And now we want to change the input configuration, which is by default dual mono. So we select to none and hit apply. Because we want to listen to the mix that we create, we switch now our unit to this new profile mix. Now we edit this profile and we select the channels that we want to use for our mix. So, because we got the stereo mix of the drums, we take out all the individual drum channels. We hit apply to transfer the setting to the MyMix. And now we open the mix page to create the mix. I'm using the master volume function to bring up the volume from all channels all together. Now that's mainly for illustration. In real world, I strongly suggest to just take the MyMix in front of you, because you will be much faster dialing in a mix when you use the MyMix user interface. So that's the mix that I've created that I think will sound okay as a starting point. So as a next step, I'm selecting the MyMix tab. And now I'm using copy and paste function of the MyMix Select page. So I copy the profile, I select Tom's unit, he's the new guy, and I hit paste. The profile gets now copied to Tom's unit, but because his current profile is called Tom, it is not active yet. So I have to go into his unit and switch to the profile mix that I want him to have as a starting point. If that profile name mix is unique, I could have also used the global profile change function, which in this case here I'm just switching back to Tom, and all the MyMixes that have a profile Tom will refer back to that setting. Because it's all name-based, the global profile change is a pretty powerful tool. Let's go back to Tom's unit. Like on the MyMix, profiles can also be deleted, and profiles can get copied. The copy of the profile gets the default name copy in the previous name, which you can easily rename and call it something more meaningful. Let's say Tom2. So we go to the MyMix overview page and we see Tom with his current profile, Tom2. Now, I'm opening the front of house MyMix, and again, as a reference, I'm showing this view here through MyMix Control, but you could do this much faster having the unit in front of you. What I want to do is go to my mix page and listen to Tom's new mix. So here is Tom's stereo mix. I solo the channel and bring up the volume. As I said, doing this on the unit itself, it's much faster than through the remote interface, but it's possible. Now let's talk about something that you can only do through MyMix Control, the log settings. Let's open Jason's unit, and down here you see Edit Logs. When you open this page, you see all parameters in all menus that you can log either individually or by the entire menu or submenu. So if you don't want the users on the MyMix to use any of these functions because they might get lost or carried away, you can simply select them here and lock the button. So if we hit the Settings button, we lock settings, and of course all the menus and functions that are in this menu. To unlock, simply hit the unlock button, and now everything becomes available again. If you have some very specific log settings, You can also copy and paste the log settings from one MyMix to the other MyMixes, very similar as you can copy and paste profiles. So, when you're ready, you hit the logout button and now you closed the project. So that was a short overview about how MyMix Control can help you to maximize your MyMix system. If you got any specific questions, you can send me an email and ask me directly. Thank you very much for your time and enjoy your MyMix system.